now in session, and we'll call on Mr. Wilcox to report.
Yes, and would you like to go down the agenda and start with the proposals to discuss public comment and public comment in real time? And so there have been several of the outreach partners and groups have written and spoken to the Commission about a couple of proposals. One is to have real-time public comment coming in through the website and then have it read at meetings during decisions. And we are, first of all, I think there was a question about being able to take public comment and if it's going to be voluminous. And we have checked with our IT folks and our servers, and we'll be able to withstand, and we hope that it's a torrent of public input. We want that, and we are prepared for it, and they have capabilities to be able to expand it as it is needed. So server won't be shut down and overwhelmed. I guess today the conversation is to see how it would work to do real-time public comment, and there are a couple of proposals where it's been said that possibly when there is a major decision, and of course it has to be defined, the Commission needs to define what a major decision is, that there would be a time where you would say, okay, we have discussed this as a Commission, we have a motion, and now we're going to take public comment, and possibly there could be a time where you would say in the next 2 hours, if you could put your public comment online, then the staff will disseminate that to the commissioners. Commissioners could read it. I wouldn't think they would be then read publicly, but they would be online and available. And we could also just go through the public comment and say, we have received public comment from so-and-so, from this city, and we could list them and say they would be online. That's one proposal I think that might work, because the other one is a 24-hour where you would have public comment for 24 hours after discussion and a motion, and that may be very problematic.
Yeah, I actually see that as quite problematic, especially I would imagine the major decisions that we have left are actually what we're going to do with the maps. And the way that our schedule is laid out, and I just want to note for the public's information that this topic of submission of real-time public comments is also in the Outreach Committee's agenda, because you know, most of the public comments moving forward will not be about procedural stuff. It'll be about maps, and actually about submitting information about communities of interest. So I was just commenting that the schedule is so condensed for our map drawing purposes that we're actually going to have to be quite serious about putting a deadline out there, because after that point, it's going to be difficult for us to accept new comments. Now, could imagine that there might be some controversial major line changes during our 10-day intense map making session, and I think if we were to take a whole day, a whole 24-hour period to stop the drawing, that we may finish. So I think that's a good middle ground, which is just to establish, a time period where people can get their comments in if they want to.
I'm just wondering, Willow, whether we need to have the availability of real time instead of wait then for 2 hours. Because as we're going to be making, I think, multiple decisions all day long when we're actually drawing the maps. And if you have, what 2 hours are we referring to? And since these are multi-day drawing exercises, it seems to me that if people can make comments up the day before, we can take those into account the next day, and they'll still have, except for the last day, an opportunity to comment yet again, and we can go back and revisit those lines. So I particularly when They're not going to be read publicly. And the people, the public will have an opportunity to look at the maps before we ever do anything. I just don't know whether the real-time process is going to work. It's like, for example, we're going to be sitting there drawing lines. I mean, we're not going to have public comment every time we move a line.
Right.
I mean, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
Because we won't get anything done.
And as a staff issue, it would be very problematic.
That was my concern.
It's,
Yeah.
So,
it's-
I mean, I'm not sure that for the purpose of, for our meetings, we're going to have real time. Because again, a lot of the input meetings, they're just input. We're not making decisions, we're just taking input. And that doesn't, we don't need to have real time because if
No.
it's submitted during the meeting,
It's
that's
only
fine.
about actual
We're going to get it.
decision-making. Yeah.
That's correct. And the lines, the maps, the draft maps are going to be, you have that 14-day period
That's
where
right.
they can comment
There's
on it.
lots of time to comment before actually making a decision.
Well, and the draft maps are exactly that, they're drafts.
Mhm.
So really, with the exception of the final maps, which
Mhm.
hopefully there will essentially be a 2-month period for comments, I have the same questions in mind. I mean, I think that there'll be ample opportunity to comment. I think we just need to be very clear that this is a draft map, and there will be another round. And, you know, if your comment, you know, wasn't able to be considered in real time, there's still plenty of time to get it considered.
So would we be looking at kind of the way we do now, at the end of the day, again, we take public comment or on whatever's on the agenda, but we could, at the end of the day, have some little indication of how much comment has come in or where it's come from, or I'm thinking partly for the benefit of the viewing public to have a sense of, you know, that there is comment coming in and that we're aware of it coming in, and not thinking that we're just, you know, sitting here meeting all day and talking all day and then moving to the next day. And, you know, if I were out there, I'd be wondering, did you hear anything? Are you thinking about it?
You know, at the close of the day, the commission could say, we understand that there has, from staff, that there's been public comment. It has been collected. It is up on our website, and that the commissioners will be reviewing the comments.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and many of us actually review it during the meeting, so that was the reason of getting the wireless card. So actually, many of us are actually viewing them in real time. And is it correct, Mr. Wilcox, that there's a pretty short delay now between posting, actual
Yes,
submission?
staff is working very hard in posting the
In
comments.
fact, one just popped up on my computer right now.
So there's-
it's actually being posted as quickly as humanly possible at the moment.
Right, and we have received a lot of good comments from our partners saying that they have noticed the timely posting of the comments, and they're very appreciative.
So in terms of an actual recommendation to the full body, I just want to be clear kind of where we're coming out on this.
Well, my sense is that I don't think for the mapping process, which is basically what we have left to do, real-time quoting from it is necessary. We'll get it, we'll announce at the end how much we have and that we're going to review it. But that during the meeting itself, during the line drawing itself, I don't think there's a need to, what?
No, you're
Wait.
right.
Yeah.
Do right to hold a decision.
Do you see any need to do that for the final maps?
Well, they will have 14 days to comment on them. It seems to me to be a long time.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think we need it for the final maps because they say they will have had 14 days to comment.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the important thing is that we're offering that opportunity is available.
Correct.
And I think we just have to structure it in a way that allows us to get our job done.
And even for the draft maps, we allow blocks of time, 5 or 6 days,
Mhm.
for the public to comment on them.
Yes.
So there's plenty of opportunity for the public to comment, I think.
Yeah, so I think, so the recommendation to the full commission is that we don't believe that that's going to be necessary during the map drawing period, but that we will acknowledge the comments that we've been getting at the close of each day, just to remind the public that we are viewing these public comments often in real time during the meetings, and even if we don't see it at that time, we'll see it shortly thereafter, and are considering that public comment. I just want to be clear, there are two kinds of public comments. There are public comments that are related to the actual maps. So this is my neighborhood, and let me tell you about my community of interest. And then there are all those other comments. I just want to see if we see any distinction between those that are not related to map drawing. Understanding, of course, that the outreach committee may come down differently on this, which is fine. I really think it's their prerogative to decide on the map submission information.
Well, yeah, we certainly have to have a clear process for that's really input, and maybe we're just getting into another, language thing here, but.
It's part of public input. I totally agree. It's
right.
The outreach committee's purview.
Right. Well, but also I'm just saying, as distinguished from comment, somebody just saying, I don't like the way you did it, but not giving us anything else. So.
Yeah, and I don't think, we will read those comments, but I don't think they need to be in real time.
Yeah.
Mr. Claypool?
Yes, thank you. There is a distinction that needs to be made also for the comments that come in. Your staff, they come to you as quickly as they can be reviewed first. They're not automatically posted. We're reviewing them to make sure that they meet the quality of the type of input that is required. And when I say quality, I just clarify, we have had postings that simply do not go to a point, and they can be quite ugly at times in the way they're addressing. And so we hold those for the commission to review, but not necessarily something that we believe the commission wants to have posted onto the website.
So in other words, name calling and stuff is non-constructive comments are not posted.
Yes, non-constructive would be a polite way of saying it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're in agreement as to how we're handling that. And then I guess item B under our agenda website capacity is, you've already addressed that.
Yes.
Okay. So item C, public education.
Okay, in public education, for the input meetings, once the schedule, which we hope will be adopted tomorrow, I have a draft, and I can send this to the committee, of the first press release. I even have room for a quote from Commissioner Forbes. This is the one for Reading. And each of the press releases, the announcement of the meeting, what the purpose of the meeting is, how to get resources to help. And of course, we know that this goes out immediately, that not all the resources will be available, but in the release it will say that please keep checking our website. Here are some of our partners. Here how you can get software to draw maps. And that's a starting point. And with that goes out to all of the area. To just take an example of Reading, it will go to print, radio, television, and web-based. And then I follow up with all of those, and we put together opportunities for the actual stories, interviews on the appropriate shows, both radio and television, and then working with all of our outreach partners, the statewide outreach partners, that will then disseminate that information to their local groups. But then I have another list that I'll be communicating with, which are the local organizations, and some of the partners have weighed in on that, but there needs to be the personal emails and phone calls, especially with chambers of commerce and local community-based organizations, to be able to disseminate this information and to get the word out to get the public to come to the meeting.
And Mr. Wilcox, what's the kind of advance time that approximately before the meeting? Is this a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance? How does that work?
Well, since it looks like the first meeting we will only have two weeks, then it will be 2 weeks. I like to use that opportunity, I mean, those full 2 weeks. In the future, I would like more time in that there's certain ways we can release the information. When we have the full schedule and we have meetings in July, we can release that then, and then maybe a few weeks later we follow up with a more detailed release. And I see this as in some cases 2 or 3 releases as more information comes in. So when I have more lead time, I will certainly use it, but the minimum would be 14 days.
Okay. I have a question because I think all of us have been out there talking to our local organizations, whoever it might be, about, you know, the show coming to town.
Right.
And would it be best for us to provide you with names and addresses of someone we might want to have? They're not a media outlet as such, but they're a significant local organization, and we might want them to help disseminate.
I love that idea.
Okay.
So maybe from this committee, asking the full commission to give us lists of groups in their areas, or it doesn't even have to be in their areas, anybody in their Rolodex that they know would be great.
Thank you. Okay, so does that pretty much cover that topic? Can you tell
Yes.
I'm getting hungry?
Right, and that sort of dovetails into the communications strategy, which this is going to be the key, what we're going to be doing in communications. Of course, we're continuing to do the editorial boards, which I think you're seeing the articles come through, and it didn't come up on my Google alert, but I hear that there's a wonderful San Jose Mercury News
Editorial.
The editorial, and the press enterprise, which you saw the article. That's all from yesterday. There were 3 editorial boards going on at the same time yesterday. Commissioner Forbes was involved in one of them in Chico. So we continue that, and now we also are setting the ethnic media briefings, where we're going to have, with New America Media, we're going to have briefings starting in San Francisco, the Inland Empire, San Jose, Sacramento, the Central Valley, San Diego, and with Chinese language and Spanish language. And also New America is helping with translation and getting materials translated, and so that is really going to be a big push and a big focus.
And you should also take advantage of the commissioners' capabilities in that area.
Right, and there will be, commissioners will be in these meetings, meetings with commissioners and the ethnic media. And so those are the focuses on our communication strategy.
Okay, and then I'm not sure, web media, or did we have
Our
a
website, yes.
Website, okay.
So why don't we, because we wanted to look at colors.
And I noticed you received 2 emails in rapid succession, one of which said, the orange is garish, and the other said, I love it.
Other than that, we have absent uniformity.
A couple of changes that aren't reflected, but one of them is reflected online. And for those that are listening, you can go to our website, wedrawthelines.ca.gov. Is that publicly available? Yes, it's publicly available. And yeah, there's the, there you go. So go to our website, scroll down on the right-hand side, and these are up so you can view them. The one change that is not in front of you is that it's actually up top is California's Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. Okay? Now, and the one thing also I would like to discuss is our tagline, sort of where we would like
To put it.
to superimpose that.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of real estate, do we? Can we put it where the logo is, underneath that?
We could do that. That's one of the options. We could also, we could split apart right underneath the photos, which again, we are collecting the photos of citizens across the state that will go there. We could, right after the photos, before where it says home and about and meetings, we could put another purple strip that has the superimposed
It's kind
tagline.
of long. It might not fit in the little corner. So
Yeah,
that
I
strip
think maybe
might be
we'll do
better.
that, and then that brackets it.
Also, but the other thing is, I think that I don't think a viewer's eyes are going to jump to another line. I think they should be. I mean, it seems to me that the place my eye's going to pick this up, it's as a second line under Citizen Independent. Put it right there.
Make it fatter.
Make it fatter.
So make that larger and put it
Because
right
that's-
underneath.
Your eye's going to go right there, and that's going to be one visual. I mean, to put it someplace else, I don't think you're going to see it. Your eye's going to look past it.
Yeah, I mean, we run the risk of having it be too busy with all the stuff that's going on, so I think you have a good point.
If,
Have it in italics or something?
well, also, I was
Different
thinking too, if we
typeface.
didn't have 5 little pictures, maybe make them, a little bit bigger, that would be less of a, too many things hitting your eye.
Right, so
Where
maybe
the
go with
photos are.
three.
Yeah, like 3.
The
So
other
it's a little-
option is, I mean, we probably did 5 to have variety.
Yes, that was to represent all the geographic,
This is
yes.
probably a coding issue, but as you've seen on other websites, it actually scrolls. I don't
Yes.
know, whether we have the capability of doing that. And that way we can have as many photos as we want, and they would just, gradually scroll us, depending on
I will,
how long you're looking.
I'll
at
get
it.
an answer on scrolling.
And so, but you're still suggesting the tagline underneath the title?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to differentiate the font,
Yep, we can do italics.
something like that, yeah. I mean, you can play with that a little bit, have our web designer look at that.
Do we need to recommend the color, or are we going to do another, open a voting booth here?
Commissioner Forbes, did you have an
I
opinion?
like the orange. I don't think Battleship Gray is the right color.
It looks like
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
overruled here. Fortunately, Commissioner Ward isn't here to weigh in.
Then it would be a tie, maybe.
Yes,
I'm open to comment to that.
yeah, I don't know if it's the shade of it or something. It just seemed, they seem to compete with each other, is my only comment. The kind of plum color.
They,
Okay. Well, I would
I
just-
was told by, when they came back with that combination, I was told by our folks back doing the website saying that, and they pulled out the color wheel, and they said that they're not complementing colors.
They,
Which-
yeah.
Right.
Which are not
That,
common.
the orange and the
That's
purple.
why they seem a little, so is there a shade of orange or a shade of the plum that would make it more complementary?
I can ask and have that put together, and see if we can get
A
it.
color like gold would be better than the orange?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, we need to just get this
Exactly.
done and get it up on the, I mean, maybe we can pass this to everybody and just see, where it comes up with the full commission. And just make it, one way or another, what's the
It's a
difference?
little-
Let's just get it up on
It's a
there.
little bit like our tagline.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
Yeah.
just vote and do it, and
Yeah.
it's not that big a deal one way or the other.
Mhm.
My other comment about the gray is it looks like something was colored, was Xeroxed in black and white. I mean, why, it's like, why isn't this color when everything else in the page is color? I mean, that's basically my comment.
Right, right.
It wasn't any more than that.
Yeah, I'm open to some other color. I was just trying to pick something that would be complementary to the purple.
Well, purple and gold Laker colors, I don't know what that means anything
Uh-oh.
to anybody.
Is that an issue? No, I just thought, because the orange and the purple are really both very strong colors, so they kind of compete visually, so it plays against it's against most website design, graphic design principles. So
Well, we're independent, so we're going to do it our way.
Well, what about something that picks up the kind of gold color in the logo?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have an objection. I just want to see us get it
Yeah, that's
done.
where I
That's
am.
the
I
only
mean,
thing I'm saying.
other
Would that
people
work?
have a
So
greater
if
sense
they
of
if they
color.
have the
Because
sort
then
of
it would be
goldish
more
thing.
consistent.
Um,
The gold that's in the Golden State?
Like a softer
Just a
orange.
softer orange,
Okay.
yes. Something that's not so bright, because it's,
all right, and let me see if I can get that
Okay.
put together in time for tomorrow's meeting.
okay.
Okay, and I'm just going to briefly ask for public comment.
Hi, Commissioners. David Solivari from Berkeley again. Just a few things. First of all, the web posting of the videos of the commission hearings. So far, they have not been timely, as far as I can see. I'm not seeing the videos from last week up already. The other thing is that if they could be posted in high definition, that would really help. The low quality of the postings make it very, very difficult to see anybody's faces, to capture expressions, nuances, etc. And if they cannot be posted on the regular website in high quality or high definition, if they could be posted in some other place, Vimeo, et cetera, there's a bunch of different hosting sites where if you guys put them out there, then the folks in the community could pick up on them. As far as providing lists of groups for the what I'm calling the roadshow, I would like to have the opportunity to furnish some, and if the public can, in general, be furnishing lists of groups that might be important for you guys to reach out to, that would be great. The other thing, as far as lead times go, is the transcripts. I know that it's a whole complicated process that the guy is recording up there, and then it has to go to people that actually make the transcripts, but the timeliness of all that is really important, because the folks that don't have the opportunity to watch live, and if there's also not videos posted, then a lot happens, and time goes by, and there's not an opportunity to respond to the many different things. So I don't know what you could do to move the process forward so that they could get posted more quickly. And let me just jump into some of the color issues, which everybody loves to get involved in. I like the gray colors too, so if there's any votes from the floor on that. And then something that came up in the commission hearings last week was the photographs. There was a movement afoot or a motion on the table to change a lot of the photographs that were of this natural scenes in California and use a lot of people. I would like to suggest that you keep at least half of natural scenes, because they're neutral. And what often happens with photographs of people is they kind of go into a thing where there's so much diversity that there ends up not being any kind of the conservative Republican types that I'm here to speak for. So if you do have a lot of photographs of folks, if you could get some just plain folks in there too, I would personally appreciate that, and also to have at least some photographs of scenery, because it's again neutral. A couple of other things. As far as the outreach to radio, I don't know if you guys are planning to do something to NPR and to all the different public radio stations. I see the commissioner nodding. But I would also like to suggest that you maybe consider talk radio, conservative talk radio. And I don't know if you have any kind of an advertising budget for that, but certainly, okay, you see you shaking your head, but certainly there's lots of probably conservative talk radio hosts who would love to have one of your board members on, or your public outreach person. Now, that of course could get a little bit on the divisive side. I totally understand that, but this is the way you do reach out to the folks on the other side. Again, if this whole process becomes clearly one-sided, especially in the public outreach, I think that's going to create huge problems down the road for you, and I personally don't want this to end up in court, and that's what I'm working towards. My final comment is just about whatever comes in over the transom, which may not be appropriate. You guys have to be careful about that, because at some point it becomes possibly censorship, and I personally would not want a lot of comments from my side that are ugly and nasty, obviously to be posted, but, you know, there has to be some sensitivity as far as not, you know, you're not ending up censoring, you know, stuff that, you know, really doesn't need to get said, even if it's not said in a particularly nice way. So those are my comments, and thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Wilcox, with respect to members of the public contributing outlets that they would like us to use, do you want those just
Sure.
sent to the...
To me would be great. My email is rob.wilcox, WILCOX, at crc.ca.gov, and I welcome anyone's input on that. I would have greatly appreciated it.
And I just want to say that the commission is endeavoring to post the video, I believe, in 1 day and the transcripts within 5. It sounds like we're not quite there yet, but we're continuing to work on that. So hopefully by the time we actually get to the more juicy part, we'll be on schedule.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the vote for Gray. But it sounds like we're going with some kind of gold, so we'll see how that works out. On the pictures, Mr. Wilcox is going to check to see if we can scroll, but the idea was to have pictures of people in natural settings. So it'll be a combination. And then with regard to radio, we don't have an advertising budget, but the point is to get the word out about how the public can be active and involved in this process. I don't know that talk radio is necessarily within our purview, but I will defer to Mr. Wilcox.
Yes, absolutely. If there's an opportunity for a commissioner to be a guest, I'm looking at all opportunities, all talk radio. And if they'd like to have a commissioner come on, the commissioner will be available. I know the commissioners have, many have said, you just ask me, you know, and we'll do these opportunities. And so far, they've been great in many interviews that they've been doing, especially this week. It's been quite a few. It's going to be a lot more, and it's going to be a very inclusive process. I want everyone to know that.
Okay, so I think we're concluded.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be back.
And thank you. Thank you, commissioners. I love this committee.
That's because we're hungry.
Yeah.
Does that make us motivated?
Do you want to report this?
No, the question is,
I have a lot of
We're going to
notes.
make Stan do some work next time you're in the chair. Because you missed a meeting.
what can I say? You know, she makes the bottle cap. How do I get the bottle cap?